I have not.
Maybe share them with them.
Oh, yes, I emailed them.
Oh, okay.
Last
Okay.
week.
Oh, yes. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, I try to be a little
Way
bit,
over there.
but we're pretty good. Yeah, we're pretty good here. This is maybe we taped Mr. Pollard 2 weeks ago,
Pollard, Cindy,
and Cindy here,
and Stephanie Brown.
and Stephanie Brown all in this room, and they all came out pretty good. So
Who's Stephanie Brown?
She
That
works for
name's
the
familiar.
United Way, and
Oh.
she was a past president of the New London branch NAACP, and during her presidency suffered a major stroke.
I remember now.
yeah, she was incredible.
Yeah.
She was incredible. And Baker, you're comfortable with the questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Baker, we're celebrating 5-year collaboration with the partners on the African American Health Council. The council was originally formed to provide guidance to legislate health districts' heart attack and stroke risk reduction program for Black residents. Why do you think it's important to have a community-based advisory board involved in the district's programming efforts?
Well, I think it's critical to have a community-based advisory board involved, and I would say the key phrase for me is the board provides informed dialogue. Informed dialogue. Because as we have so often discussed, public health, unlike medicine or formal health care, which is one-on-one, public health is a community dialogue. Public health, unlike medicine, which aims to treat disease, illness, and injury, public health aims to prevent disease, illness, and injury, and that involves a whole different set of community dynamics. So in public health at the state and federal level, we say that public health, public health is what we do collectively to create and ensure the living conditions in which people may be healthy. So imagine that job, to create the conditions and to ensure the conditions in which people may lead healthy lives. To do this, public health is, in my estimation, forever involved, forever engaged in a reciprocal dialogue with its communities. And it's tough stuff. And these communities can be at the neighborhood level, they may be at the city level, the state level, or the federal level. But it's through these discussions, through this informed discussion, and I would say negotiation, because the discussions lead to negotiations. Through these discussions, we decide on what safe drinking water is. We decide which children will receive vaccines. We decide about alcohol use and the designated driver. We collectively decide that there will be clean restaurants to eat in. It's a collective decision. And from my perspective, here's where the African American Health Council comes in. These discussions don't take place aimlessly. They don't take place in a vacuum. They don't take place unhinged from community mores and values. And they shouldn't be unfocused or unprioritized. So a community advisory board, such as the African American Health Council, serves to identify the issues, serves to analyze them, serves to prioritize them, so that the work that we do, making these decisions in this community dialogue, this informed dialogue, that work is focused and productive and promises results.
As you know, members of the council served on the leadership board for Ledgelight's recent work with the residents of the Thames River Apartments. These efforts involve looking at possibilities for policy and environmental change that would improve the residents' health. Moving forward, do you see additional opportunities for the council to expand beyond program guidance and advocate for policy and system changes in our community?
That's a big one. The short answer is there a role to advance beyond program guidance to systems change? The answer is yes, of course. The question is how. And the answer to that, I would offer from our perspective, is an instrument called the Health Impact Assessment. I shall explain. I need to step back for a moment. From the public health perspective, pardon me, from a public health perspective, the most desirable system change we could hope for in our lifetimes would be the change in focus from treatment and rehabilitation to prevention. From fixing things after they've happened to living healthy, full lives from the get-go. You or I could spend 24 hours in an emergency room in any city in this country, and we would see that it is not the exotic diseases like hantavirus or even AIDS that is clogging the American healthcare system and driving us to a financial break. It is rather injuries, deprivation, malnutrition, violence, mismanaged chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, but all of those are largely preventable. They're all largely preventable. So if we know intellectually and we know viscerally that a stitch in time saves 9, why do we not take the actions to prevent all of this health carnage in our society? I'm going to suggest that a large part of the problem is that for many in our society, prevention remains an elusive concept. As a society, in fact, we're not very adept at planning for the future. I mean, look at our situation in this country. You can count on, or I can count on the fingers of 2 hands where we have been societally truly adept at planning. The Louisiana Purchase, the Hoover Dam, land grant colleges, the Marshall Plan, the interstate highway system. I'm running out of fingers. But check our current state of planning in this country, our national debt, our healthcare system, so-called, where we're going with our educational system, our criminal justice system. But at the community level where you and I work, the African American Health Council could take a dramatic role, a dramatic responsibility in changing this paradigm from fix-it to a system change to a prevention paradigm. And the council could do that by being the civic instrument that insists on the preparation of a health impact assessment for every civic project that arises. A health impact assessment is a newly developed public health tool that, amazingly in my view, is incredibly sophisticated and terribly simple at the same time. It's analogous to the environmental impact statement, which we have now codified in state and federal law, where any major development is studied by the Corps of Engineers and by local concerned people. What's the impact on the environment in the next 10, 20, and 50 years? Well, a health impact assessment is a community-based analysis that examines and predicts the future health impact of any proposed development. Large scale, it could be the relocation of a regional landfill. But small scale, it could be a playground or Riverside Park. So my belief is that concerned and committed citizens work with public health experts at analyzing and postulating the future health benefits and detriments of any proposed project, civic project, especially those that have public health dollars or tax benefits attached to them. What does that do? We come full circle back to prevention. Predicting the health benefits and the detriments 10 and 20 and 50 years out places prevention directly into the economic and political process. Some might say where it belongs. And that, I submit to you, will lead to policy and system change in a big way.
During your tenure, excuse me, with the Ledgelight Health District, you've put a spotlight on health equity. One of the most important concepts you share with new staff and board members is the difference between talking about health disparities and health equity. Can you briefly touch on this difference, please?
Briefly? Sure. Health disparity is exactly what it says, disparate health status. That's all. There's no value judgments laid on that, except that in usage we've come to lay usage on it. But technically, disparate health status means that there is unequal health status. That's all it means. So what is an example? Breast cancer is a very terrible thing. Breast cancer is suffered by men and women. But 200 times as many women get breast cancer as men. It is a terribly disparate health status. They're very unequal. But there's no equity involved in that. Conversely, I can show you a community in one census tract here in New London in which the rates of diabetes and hypertension are 4 times that of the average residents in census tract B, an eighth of a mile away. These are health disparities, but they also reveal an inequitable life. That is to say, there's no particular reason why the people in census tract B will live on average 13 years fewer disability-free lives compared to census tract A. So there's forces at work there that we call in public health, we call them unjust, unfair, and avoidable. It goes back to what I spoke about a few moments ago. Public health job is to ensure the lived conditions in which people may live healthy lives. Here, we have in health inequity that is observable and measurable. And that means we have some work to do.
And why do you think it's important for health departments to understand and address health inequities?
Simply because it gives meaning to our lives. We all have much to do. We all have jobs to do. We have regulations to enforce. We have health promotion activities to put out there. But the bottom line is the focus on health equity delivers us a moral plane on which to judge our actions here and in the future, and something to look back on and say, I made a difference. And public health is about making a difference and improving the health of the population so that the very least stand with the very most.
Do you want to do the outro?
Don't need to. It's too technical for people.
Okay,
I think that would get very technical.
we're all set.